This is the key step in the light of setting up perspective grids. In order to do 3D design, we will have to have the perspective grid properly set up, which is in here, view, and under the view menu, perspective grid. And so you can find, well, for various versions of illustrators, we are more interested in this one, which happens to be more commonly available across recent issues of Creative Cloud CC or CS5, CS5.5, CS6 for the last recent years. And exactly what we're doing here, and we find it most suitable, is the 2-point perspective, the 2-point perspective grid. And it says 2P normal view here. Click on that. Okay, and you can see it's a fairly complicated grid system, kind of dictated by 3 planes. Well, you have to get into a certain mode to edit it. Well, let's take a look around all the elements that are available for you to control it or modify it. So on the top left corner, you see a little widget, this round shape with a cross to the left, a cube. Okay, so the color blue and the color orange kind of represent the corresponding planes and where you want to put them or how far it's stretching out. Well, this is just a representation. It doesn't mean the plane stops here. The grids is available for you to kind of estimate or even use it as scaling tool, but then actually the plane goes to infinity and all the way to the vanishing point. Now, you can't really do anything. Like, I cannot select it. I can't even, edit or move it around, drag it around, because I'm not in the correct mode. So to get into the correct mode, you find your perspective grid tool here. Okay, Shift P. Or if you click and hold down, there are 2 modes you want to get familiar with because we need both of them, obviously. Now, we want to set up the perspective grid properly, so then we go to perspective grid 2. Later on, where we do things on the grid and do design, we arrange things around it in the world of the 3D, then you want to use this perspective selection to Shift V. Okay, so now let's set up the grid. Activate this perspective grid 2. Okay, and you can find a 3D cube following, it says following your black arrowhead. Okay, you can drag the whole thing actually to the bottom right hand corner. Just click this point, the whole thing will move. If I get the correct perspective of the building, then I should be able to draw anything in that regard to the correct perspective of this picture, of this image, of this scene. Okay, so even if you mess up, you can always go to View and Perspective Grid and click on that 2-point perspective again, and it will go back to the top, and then you can set it and start over from here. Okay, so let's get to it. We have the background image locked, so then we don't accidentally, change anything we didn't want to. And I create a new layer. Okay, so now we play with the grid. So View, Perspective Grid, and 2-point perspective grid. From the top, we will do it 2P normal view, and that pops up, right? And you have to get into this perspective grid 2, or the setting up the grid mode. Okay, and in this mode, we want to fix what we call the stationary point first. But to keep it simple, I'd rather move the whole thing to the building. The building is the only reliable kind of landmark for the whole perspective drawing. Well, there is of course some lines that we might be able to follow But I think it's the easiest, and everybody agrees, is that we take this box, the front face, the front side of the building, and the left side of the building. We will take the roof and probably here these points to kind of do some play around to get in regard to best guesstimate our perspectives in this picture. So what I've just done actually is you find one of these 2 points, the left bottom corner or the right bottom corner, and as long as you move a mouse over one of these white knots here, it turns into a 4-way arrowhead. Anytime you see a 4-way arrowhead, suggests a move of the whole thing, a transform. Okay, so I moved that into place. Try your best. You want to zoom in if you want a better job done. Okay. Well, after zoom in, you have to reactivate this too. Obviously, the perspective grid too, and well, might as well comes in handy if you remember it's Shift P for that too. And so by dragging, so my mouse is dragging on one of these knots to the extremes, to the left or to the right, but I have my eyeball set on the stationary point and trying my best really to align with the building, the bottom of the building, the corner over there. And the second thing you want to do is you see a up and down only 2-way arrowhead on this is actually the horizon. This line here is actually, you can see it goes right through the VP1, the VP blue or the VP orange, and then to the other end. So you can kind of quickly just drop that down to the horizon. So it's, because of the fences and things, there's this little hint here, right? So I try my best to align with that. Oops, not the correct point. That not right there. And then try to best align with my horizon. So you can see the grid kind of just realign itself, and actually it thinks like it swings out and swing in. Okay, well, you can see that the perspective plane with the grids is only that much, so and so, but then it's actually not. It's only displaying that much for easy scaling, but then actually the plane extends infinitely into all the way to the VP. Okay, so the next thing would be to match the roof top here. Okay, again, that one is only for up and down also. So if I haven't make it right as far as left and right or front or back goes, then I may have to realign myself to the correct point, just like so. Okay, well, maybe a little too high. Okay, and then I can readjust that habitually, and that will be it. Okay, so I've completed alignments, my alignments with the vertical edge here, the most important one, crucial edge, and probably have to do one more time with the horizon to my best judgment. Just eyeball it here, right? So I believe that's fine, just fine right now. Okay, so 1 and 2 is done, but the last part you will have to fix is whether I have the perspective right depends on how you place your VPs. For example, if I want my orange plane aligned with this building, this box here, well, it's obviously way off now, right? The first thing you have to do is move this point, the VP actually, and if you take it out real far, that might help. And sometimes you might have to just swing this one too. Okay, so there are three gray knots. The three gray knots here. One of them is controlling the orange plane. The other, well, usually on opposite sides, for the blue, and the last one is for the floor plane. Well, so right now, I will have to maybe move this one, the span of the plane, out of the way a little bit. Sometimes it's like just doubles and covers up your access to the vanishing point. And now if I keep extending and extending it until you see my my orange plane actually almost aligned now with the building. Well, why I say almost is that I still yet have to extend it a little further. So it's really all the way down to outside of the artboard, but that doesn't matter. It's just a grid system. Now it's perfect. Can you see that? So that's how it works. Whether you want the grids all the way down or just covering part of it doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. It's just a guide because it's always there. It's just not showing, so not to disturb you, you know. And if you're happy with the swing, like I am pretty much now, I might not have to adjust this at all. Keep expanding it. Oh, not expanding it for this time. For this one, for the blue one, actually is the other way around. I have to bring it in because if you compensate it back with your blue plane, it might come back a little bit. So let me tweak that a little bit too. Yet. If I want to cover this one, I can always fix this one. Drag your mouse up and down. Try to see if it tweaks to your desirable result. Okay. Once I've zoomed out, that kind of just regress a little bit. Maybe it's a bug, or maybe just how it is for display. So that's the first part. You have your perspective grids all set. Congratulations, and it's all ready for you to introduce any content, or even if you want to draw in or bring in any artwork. Obviously what we're gonna do is bring in the train, right? And the next part is already there, and you just bring it in and everything will work like a charm.